guys, welcome to NGS Everything. Today we're going to be doing basically a strategy video on Zombies Call of Duty Cold War. Now, this video is going to be showing you guys basically the best strategies that I've come up with over my many years of playing, and to help newer players and to show older players just a way of doing things that you may have not thought of before, and to show newer players just the best way to do things overall. Now, this zombies does not apply to other zombies. Unfortunately, this mode's actually quite different than prior zombie games in the past. So a lot of these methods are for Cold War. I will be doing another video on actual old school zombies and the rules and the different strategies that apply to those games. But without further ado, enough of my jibber jabber, let's get straight into it. So, first things first, if you're a new player and never played zombies before, this is going to be a great video. It's going to show you guys basically the things, the good habits you're going to want to develop going forward. Now, this is D Machina. This is the default basic map for Call of Duty Cold War Zombies. If you have the game, you should have access to this. Now, D Machina is a great, well, in my opinion, it's one of the great maps to start on because the opening area is very big. This is actually an area I prefer to train in. If you guys don't know what I mean by training, I will explain it to you in time. We will get through all of that. This isn't really just an advanced or like a beginner class. It's just an overall, this is going to apply to everybody, but mainly towards the newer people. So let's get into it. So first things first, as you guys may have noticed, when you kill a zombie, let's go ahead and, well, this is round one, so it's not really matter, but when you kill a zombie, you're going to notice it says 115, right? So that's so that's one of the things that is different about old school and new school zombies. Back in the day, the damage, if I remember correctly, the damage you dealt to the zombie was how many points you got, right? So if you dealt 60 damage, you got 60 points, right? Something like that. It's a little different in Cold War Zombies, so we're not going to get all nitty gritty with the basics or the dynamics of how that works, but the principle is still the same, right? If you're going to shoot with a gun on round one, everything dies insanely easy. It'd be really hard to die on round one unless you do not know what you're doing, you don't know the controls. So I would practice on multiplayer like bots just to get the controller down, get the controls done. Once you got a good feel for it, step one, rule number one, alright, knife, don't shoot. So this is a misconception on a lot of people. People think that knifing is like a last resort. I don't got any ammo, I got a knife. But the truth is, if you want to get the most amount of points out of your guys, out of your zombies, because obviously one of the main points of this whole game is to earn points to open things, buy things, etc. You would want to maximize the amount of points you get out of these guys. So how do you do that? Well, the quick and easy answer is knifing, but it's also not that simple. Like I said, in the older games, it's a little more in depth, but again, same concept. Knifing will basically give you the most amount of points you can get out of a zombie, which is true and not true. If you have a pistol and it doesn't one-shot them, basically shooting them, right, as much times as it will allow you to that before you killing them, and then knifing them will give you the maximum amount of points. That's how it used to be, and that's how it is the old school version. In this version, it doesn't matter how much damage you do to them, you only get the points you're going to get from them when you're done killing them. But if you kill them with a weapon that's not a knife, the end result of points you get from the actual kill itself will be different. But as you can see, I got 1,100 points on round one. Now, this is actually really important, guys, because if you were using a different weapon, you may have not even breached 1,000 yet, right? So the rules, they do vary, and it's a little confusing, so I apologize for all that. This game is just really different than other zombies games, and it doesn't necessarily apply. in all aspects. But we'll just stick to Cold War logic right now. I'm sorry for confusing you guys, but yes, basically, knifing is the way to go. You get the most amount of points out of it, and you get more bang for your buck. The main point of zombies is you don't want to spend points that you don't need. Don't waste your money on. Don't waste your points on buying weapons. Only focus on unlocking doors and getting the map opened up. Guns can come later. This applies to old zombies as well, but especially in newer zombies, right? So this Bowie knife is not something you have to earn or unlock. The camo, a little bit different, but the basic knife itself is available to you immediately from when you start the game, and it is a one-hit knife kill. If I knife a zombie one time, it will die all the way up to round 10, and if you go into your upgrade menu in the actual load screen, you can actually make it last a little bit longer than that. I think mine may last around 12, although I haven't tested it out yet fully. Right? So, first step, use a knife, don't use weapons. Save your money, don't buy a weapon, don't start with a gun, start with the knife. Step 2, don't buy anything, and try your best to survive, and knife only. If you want to punch, you can punch, but as you can see, it does not kill him, it takes 2 punches to knock him out. But punching does result in the same amount of points at the end of the day. So if you want to punch, you can punch, but it's not going to be a one-hit kill. You're going to want to do this, and I like to do this all the way up to round 9. If you are comfortable with it, and this is all about comfortability right now, right? If you are comfortable with it, survive as long as you physically can on a knife. Your knife is your friend. Not only is it going to help you rack up points, but it's also going to help make you practice being nimble. Step 2, and one of the most important rules in zombies is learning how to maneuver around them. Zombies are slow, but they can be quite tricky. You know, some zombies might double swipe you, some zombies might triple swipe you, multiple zombies might try to swipe you. And it's important to learn how to dodge, how to back up, how much space you physically have, like that. And what's considered a good distance to keep from zombies not getting hit. All this is really important because in some games it takes 2 hits for you to go down, and this one takes a good amount. It's not 2, but it's definitely not 5 either. You gotta make sure you're watching that shit. Being with a knife basically forces you to forces you to learn how to avoid doing that, right? It basically forces you to learn how to dodge and keep a safe distance. This applies to guns just as well, because if you get too cocky with a gun and you need to reload, and there's too many zombies on you, you're screwed. Being with a knife, you can never let that happen. You have to always have space, unless you're insanely fast. You have to be on your toes 24/7. Can't let up for a minute. You gotta be knifing like a madman. Always turning your back on the enemy. Always turning around, making sure there's no one behind you. It is just a constant prancing. But the result is you get more points. You're learning how to dodge and be more effective with yourself and the zombies. And honestly, it's just a much funner gameplay, to be honest with you. This applies to all games. Although in the older games, realistically, the strategy lasts like round 4. It's a great strategy for Cold War. Now, let's talk about power-ups. So for those of you who are new, the power-up, what you just saw it there, which looked like a bomb, that was called a power-up, right? Now, power-ups drop randomly. And the rule of thumb I've always followed is don't grab it unless you need it, right? And there are a few that you don't actually need. For example, the one that dropped that was a bomb, it's called nuke. And if you grab it, it's going to kill all the current zombies that are currently spawned that haven't jumped through a barrier yet, or haven't come out of the ground or spawned from behind a barrier yet in your current round. Now, the big issue with using these guys is because it doesn't matter how many the nuke actually kills within your round, it will give you the same amount of points each time. Meaning, if you use a nuke you're actually going to be getting less points than just surviving the round and killing the zombies than you would. So, rule of thumb is, if you see a nuke, unless you're in a bad, tight spot and you need those zombies out of your life, you cannot afford to have them in your round anymore. Do not grab it. It's a waste of points and a waste of time. And it also wastes a round. Sometimes you need to keep one zombie, or maybe even two, alive so that you can try to accomplish things within that round. Because these maps aren't just running around and killing zombies. There are many things for you to interact with, and you cannot do that unless you leave one zombie alive. Nukes basically eliminate that chance. And only if you're extremely lucky does it sometimes not kill them all. Sometimes there's always a straggler who hasn't spawned in quite just yet. If that's the case, you're lucky, but that's not usually the case. You want to make sure. Hold on one second. Just make sure gotta make sure that my stuff is still recording here. It is, okay. My screen turned off. But basically, you just want to make sure you're always being on that. Another one you want to avoid is max ammos. Now, they're tempting because you're thinking, oh, I need some ammo, I better go get that. The truth is, the more of these you grab, the less frequently they spawn, or at least that's how it was in the older games. I don't know if that was a glitch that they fixed, but it's something that I've always kept just in case, because realistically, those are like, you can't afford ammo, you don't have any ammo, it's like a dire situation. You don't really need to grab them. There's just not a good rule of thumb to grab those all hastily. You want to take your time. You don't want to just jump the gun and grab it just because it's there, and you're trigger happy. You're just like, you just want to grab it. You don't care what it does. You just want it. Not a good habit to get into. So let's talk about some of the good ones you want to grab. So one of the things that just dropped right now, this is a power-up, okay? This is called double points. Now, double points is actually a power-up you always want to grab unless it's the very end of the round, right? What this is going to do is this is going to basically maximize, or actually double, hint the name double points, all the points you get for zombies for a limited period of time. Now, mind you, all these effects you get from these power-ups are limited. You're not going to have them for long periods of time. So try to use them as much as you can. But like I said, don't get cocky. Don't get backed up into a corner like I almost just did. And yeah, always grab those if you have a lot of zombies around, because it'll help basically maximize the amount of points you get per round. It'll be a great help for the future. So now that's a little bit about power-ups. We'll get more into it a little more later on in the game as we have more spawn in for us. I'll talk about them individually. So that's power-ups. Now let's talk about game mechanics. So as you guys have noticed already, I'm on level 7 or round 7, and I already have 1,500 points. Right, that's a lot. That's actually that's a pretty good chunk of dough, and it's only round 7. I can keep going all the way to round 10. So this is just proof right here that I've only been out here 7 rounds, and I already have more money than most people do by round 7. And I haven't even left spawn yet. Just goes to show, if you're being smart and you don't waste your points, you can get them pretty quick. And this applies to every zombies game, and I will demonstrate this later on. Another rule of thumb I like to follow, I like to go on based off of the point system, is 1,000 above the round, right? It's a little rule I've made up for myself. So basically, if you're on round 3, you want to try to aim for 4,000 points. So on and so forth applies to every round. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that on round 1 unless you're extremely lucky, but even then, I highly doubt you'll be able to do that. If you keep that rule of thumb, whether you're using guns or not, you'll always be better off, because the more points you have, the better. And to try to make yourself have a goal like that each round, to have more points than the number of the actual round itself, these are good things you want to do. There was another power-up I just grabbed called bonus points. Always good to grab that. Never a bad time. It just basically gives you straight money. It's always good to grab that. Don't ever hesitate. Now, if you see a power-up, don't just dive bomb for it, right? Be smart. Don't panic. Okay, take your time. What I'm doing right now is called training, right? And we'll get more into this later, but basically you want to get all the zombies kind of just grouped up. You want to get them away from the objects. Say the objects that I'm trying to get to the tank, right? You want to get all of these guys just kind of bottled up in one section so that it gives you the time you need to go over there, interact with this object for about a good couple minutes, couple seconds, whatever, and then you can be free to go. Zombies don't bother you. Now, on the higher rounds, zombies do move a lot faster, especially if they're the last ones alive, so keep that in mind. You're going to need a pretty good gap between you and the zombies to get anything done, but the principle is still the same. Just be mindful that they are a little bit faster at higher rounds. But that's it. Let's get down to some more mechanics, right? There's a lot to talk about, so stay with me, right? So we talked about power-ups, we talked about 1,000 above the round, just good habits, good rules of thumb you want to get into. Training is another one. Now let's talk about that more properly. Now training is simply the matter of avoiding getting hit as much as possible and kind of going in a giant circle. Now your zombies will follow you, and depending on the map, there will be different alternate routes they might take that may cause them to basically like cut you off. So you want to do this in big open areas like spawn, where you have plenty of room to dodge or outmaneuver the group of zombies that you're currently trying to train. Now this is called a raid train simply because, and I know, right? Funny choice of words. I don't know why it's called that. It's been called that ever since I was been into zombies. But basically, you get the group together once they're all done spawning, and you have them all gathered up in the area of the map you're training in. You line them all up, and bam, you let a couple shots off, then you stop, gather them all up again, because as you know in higher rounds, or maybe you don't know, you shoot some, they spawn, you roll with them, only shoot a few of them, don't just sit there and try to kill them all, shoot a few, then stop, run around, check if there's any more spawning in. If there's not, finish them off. If there is, gather them all up again and start over. You basically just rinse and repeat this constantly, and I will show you guys this at a higher round so you guys can have a better understanding of what I'm talking about, but just basically quick run down, right? Now, as far as everything else goes, it's always a good rule of thumb to try to avoid getting hit at all times, but you can take a couple hits, right? Health does regenerate on this game, and there are things you can do within the game to make your health last longer. Just make sure. That make your health last longer, but even those have their limits, and there are different types of zombies that do more damage. So, although there are a lot of things we can talk about, the basic thing, rule of thumb here is, if you can avoid getting hit, do it. Don't get cocky because you have Juggernaut, which is the perk that basically lets you get hit more, right? Always pretend like you've got nothing on you. That's why true OG players don't play with all those perks, right? I mean, self-revive is a perk that basically allows you to get picked up when you get down, right? But if you all remember from the World at War days, if you guys were even playing zombies back then, that didn't exist. So what you had, essentially, is basically, what you had basically is just, you just bare bones, you could not get touched. It was the best way to train someone how to play the game because they were basically forcing themselves to learn how not to get hit, and that made them really good players at high rounds because they had that rule. And a high round can be intimidating with the zombies' health and the damage they do, but in all reality, if you're not getting hit, it's cake. It really is. You just gotta stay calm, stay cool and collected, and just chill out. For all of you who actually are scared during the zombie experience, I don't blame you. Back when I first started, it was a little scary myself too. Especially this map, if you decide to explore it a little bit, it does get a little spooky. But for retrospect, at the end of the day, the game is still a ton of fun, and you do get used to it. Now, let's see if there's anything else we can talk about, just beginner steps. If you are going to buy a weapon, don't buy straight out the mystery box. Now, it's so tempting because everyone wants that ray gun, everybody wants those special high-powered weapons, but you see, the truth is, it's actually a big waste of time and money to do it early on. You're definitely going to want to aim for that later on in the game, but a wall weapon does a significant amount of damage. A lot more than people like to give credit for. So, although it may be tempting, avoid hitting that until at least round 11. That would be my best bet. Just, unless you're trying to achieve an Easter egg or trying to, do an achievement or something that requires you to do it by a certain round, or just easier to do by a certain round, those are like the only exceptions. Try to limit yourself from using the box. Obviously, do what you want to do, but this is just my advice. Take it or leave it, but I personally have always found it to be a major distraction, and it definitely gets to a point where it's just almost a waste of money, because sometimes you get something worse than just what's on the wall right next to you. So good rule of thumb, guys, if you really want to save your money and play smart, don't waste your money on the box. Give it time and wait. If you really need a weapon, buy one off the wall. You won't regret it. Now, that's enough basics. There's a lot more basics to talk about, but for the most part, that's pretty much it. There are more things we'll talk about on a more advanced gaming tutorial where I'll kind of explain more of that in detail, but that's basically it, guys. If you're still with me, great. Now let's get more into training. So now that we actually have a big group of zombies here, let me show you what I meant by cutting off. So as you see, if I were to try to go through those trees right there, those two guys, they would try to cut me off. Also, as you notice, these zombies are a lot faster. But you see sometimes there are still some slow zombies. So what you're going to want to do is, if you try to go too fast, you see these zombies, if I was not going fast to that section, they would have cut me off and I would have gotten trapped. The key is you want to try to go do wide, long circles over going through various different obstacles, and always go through obstacles that make you have different options of escape. So don't just go to a one-way, alleyway that there are going to be barriers and stuff down the alleyway that could screw you up. Go down a section where if you need to, I can jump up here, get out of the way, jump over some zombies. You know what I mean? Give yourself escape routes. Don't just do it in a tight area. It's very technically and very challenging to try to train zombies in a tight area. Even what I'm doing right now, which is basically called U training, or what I call U training, is where you basically just run back and forth like this, running against the zombies, is a very high technique that does work in really tight spaces, and I use it a lot. But if you screw up, you're going to go down so fast, because you basically have like 8 or 10 of them hit you at once. It's basically a guaranteed knockout. So, although that's really advanced, you can do stuff like that too, although I do not recommend doing it, right? So that's enough about training, right? We're on round 8. We got a ton of points. Let's talk about the Die Maschine map, and more importantly, just Cold War zombies instead, because what I was saying, that was more of a general rule of thumb. Now let's get more technical about the actual game mode we're in. So I don't know if you noticed anything, but when you kill zombies, sometimes they drop these green or blue salvage parts, right? Now it doesn't matter what level you're on or what area you're in, they will always drop these. Now, you want them to drop these. These are good. In Die Maschine, and in fact in all the Cold War zombies in general, these parts are used to help craft med packs, grenades, score streaks that you can use to help kill zombies and protect you. Upgrading your weapons to better rarities and qualities, basically making them stronger and last higher rounds with greater potency. All these things are all the things that, like that right there, so you just drop that right there. So all these things are basically rules of thumb that you're going to want to keep in mind when you're playing zombies, because they're important. See, now there's a max ammo, but I'm not going to grab it like we talked about earlier. We don't need it. We're not going to grab it. There's no point. Don't waste power-ups. Save them for when you need them, because that will matter. At least I think it does. Go ahead and leave a comment in the section down below and tell me if that even still applies. Because if you guys remember from back in the day, that used to be a rule. And that may or may not apply anymore, but I still do it just in case. So, that one, do it at your own discretion. But for the most part, I think I'm right about that. Anyways, you want to basically get this stuff up as much as you can. You're going to need a lot of this stuff to be able to do anything in the game. The blue, rare, high quality, or high grade military salvage is the rare ones that you need to actually upgrade your weapons. The green ones are mainly meant for stim packs, you know, grenades, tomahawks, the whole nine. They're basically just there to help you get equipment and various other things, but they do come in handy in other aspects, although as far as my knowledge contains, that is basically what they're there for. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, there's a workbench like this at or a crafting table at almost every location where you can basically spend your points like I just did and get a bunch of stim packs which basically help heal your health temporarily to help avoid going down. So that's basically what that's for. But as you can see, I did not spend any of my high grade salvage because that salvage in particular is basically going to be for my upgrading weapons and getting stuff like score streaks, which you can see right here. You get like a minigun, you can get a flamethrower, you can get all kinds of stuff. So that's that. Other than that, the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. As you guys have seen probably by now, there's a bunch of part sections in my menu where you'll see that there are various things we can actually build and gadgets in the game. One of them is the DIE, which is basically those maps' wonder weapon. Now this is a general rule of thumb for all maps also. I'll go ahead and just tell you guys while we're kind of going through the rounds here. Every single map has basically 2 or 1 wonder weapons. Now wonder weapons are the strongest weapons in the game. You don't get stronger than this. Okay, the wonder weapons are basically the equivalent of a weapon that can kill a zombie in round 100. And round 100, if you guys didn't know, is basically zombies are like quadruple health, like more than that. Like it takes a lot to kill a zombie around 100, but these guys, they can basically do it in one hit. Now, not all wonder weapons are the same. Some lack in efficiency, but there are some that are basically immortal, like one-hit wonders all the way to round whatever the hell, right? It doesn't apply to all wonder weapons, but rule of thumb is you're trying to last a long, basically to a high round. You're going to basically need to get yourself one of these bad boys. Now, all of that aside, right? All of that aside, I will show you guys how to get the DIE in this map and how to get the power on. So if you got the basics down, you're doing pretty good, you're feeling pretty confident, go ahead and buy yourself a gun, get yourself situated, get yourself some perks. I recommend Juggernaut and maybe even Stamina or Speed Cola, and just get comfortable. Once you're at that point, the next thing you're going to want to do in the zombie map is get the power on. Now in some maps, Juggernaut is available without power, in some maps it isn't. Regardless, the first thing you want to do when you leave spawn is work your way to the power room, because you are going to need to turn the power on to be able to interact with the map. And to more importantly, pack-a-punch. Now, like I said, in some maps it doesn't always apply. Some maps, for whatever reason, it is on despite there being power or not, but that does not apply to D Machina in this instance. You will need to turn power on, and that should be considered one of your goals in this map, is trying to get the power on and getting the wonder weapon. If you can do that and get a decent wall weapon or box weapon, then the rest of it is up to you. You basically just survive. This really is just going to be a basic bare bones tutorial showing you guys just everything you got to do to survive in zombies. There's obviously a lot more to zombies than what I've explained to you, but we won't get into that in this video. Like I said, basic, level, basic round 1 to round 20 survival guide, best strategies, in my opinion, for this particular map and in zombies in general. Another map I like to apply these strategies to personally is Kino de Torton and Moon from Black Ops 1. Those are my favorite maps, and they are the best examples of this, truly, because they definitely come in handy using these skills. Anyways, guys, enough of that. It's round 9. I got about 23 grand. I think I'm going to actually leave one zombie left from this round. Yeah, I'm going to leave one zombie left in this round, and then we're going to start doing our thing. Alright, so when you're ready to leave, get one zombie alive, and let's go ahead and get out of here. So in D Machina, there are 2 front doors, or 2 first doors. They're the cheapest doors you'll have in the game. They're about 500 each, and there's your first wall open right there. M1911, and although it might be deceiving because it's just a pistol, actually does a decent amount of damage, so don't let that fool you. If you want a gun and you don't know where some really good ones are, that one isn't horrible. I wouldn't mind doing it. Now, trying to survive with a zombie at this round might be a little difficult because of how fast they are, but like I said, using a knife, that's basically perfect practice for this kind of stuff. Basically going to help you just get what you need to get in terms of skill of dodging and working around zombies. Once you see Juggernaut, there it is. As you can see, you can use it immediately. You don't need power on. In this map, you just need power on just to get just to get Pack-a-Punch going. Go ahead and go through this door, and as you walk right here, you'll be able to access the underground facility automatically. Doesn't matter which way you go, just pick a door and start going through it. Once you blow it open, then you can work your way down. There's another perk, which is Speed Cola. And see, now this one, sorry, the guy's talking, so can't really tell you 100%, but as you can see, so this perk machine does require power, but the other one doesn't. So like I said, sometimes it just depends. It's not always guaranteed that it's getting power or not. It really truly does depend on the map you're on. Once you get to this giant room, and like I said, it's going to be a little creepy because this map is just a little spooky. Work your way over here, despite how dark it is. I know it's hard, but just do your best. Hit this button, and then now you'll basically have the lights back on. So now that the power is technically back on, you'll be able to see things and see this giant room. And I think this is just personally for me, just to know, I think we can access this now, yes. So as you can see, now you can access Speed Cola, which basically all Speed Cola does is let you reload and swap weapons faster. Although this game does kind of change the rules of perks, you are actually able to do a lot more with them now than you were before, but that's basically what it does. Now for the Pack-a-Punch. Now that you've gotten power on, the next immediate step you want to take in your journey through this zombies experience is once you get power on, you want to get Pack-a-Punch on. Why is that important? Well, in later rounds, Pack-a-Punching your weapons is basically going to be the only way you're going to be able to do any significant damage enough to kill any of them. So in order to get Pack-a-Punch in this map, you're going to need to do what I'm doing right now. Hit the button in the main room to turn the power on, and hit these two other buttons on the side of the room located with they're actually marked on your map, so it should be easy to see them. There's just two buttons opposite each other in this room. Hit them, and then an anomaly will form in the middle of the room. Next step, you're going to want to enter the ether. Go to this and hold X or square, whatever you're playing on, and activate this, and go ahead and start running back up here. What's going to happen is it's going to teleport you to the ether. Now the zombies are still going to be here, so don't get discouraged or get confused. They're still going to be right behind you. Don't get, all like turned around. Stay focused, stay focused. Once you get the dark ether going, you're going to notice that now that the power's on, certain points of entry that were closed before are now going to be available to you to make accessing points of the map a lot easier. Now that you have the ether activated and you're in the ether, go ahead and work your way over to that objective marked on your map. You also have a mini map that helps kind of show you the things around this area, so if you're a little confused about where things are, this should also help you if you're a beginner. Now, this is timed, although you do have a good chunk of time. I wouldn't sit around and just do nothing. I would focus on just going to the objective that I want you to go to and going down the tunnel. Now, this will cost money, so that's very important. You want to keep that in mind. It's one of the reasons why I like to spend so much time earning points at the beginning of the game. It's because at the end of the day, you're going to need a lot of points to be able to do the things you need to do in this game. Once you get down here, you're going to go to a room where there'll be a part on this little table here. Go ahead and hold X, and then go ahead and go back to the center of the room where you were at before. Now, you can either go over here. It varies on the game. It's not always in the same place, but the procedure is always the same. Go ahead and make it back here. Hold X to build the machine, and then you'll be teleported back to your reality. And there you go, guys. We are now back in the real world, and the Pack-a-Punch machine has been built. Now, the only step left is to survive. You now have power on, you have access to perks, you now also have access to pack-a-punching your weapons. The only other mechanic in this particular game in Cold War is upgrading the rarity of your weapons so they do even more damage, but that is self-explanatory. I'll show you how to do that in just a quick second. But from here on out, guys, you basically have you've opened up power, and you've gone Pack-a-Punch unlocked all by round 9 or 10, or even sooner than that. And realistically, we did not need the amount of points we needed when we left. I just like leaving with that many points. So basically, there you go, guys. That's how you, in a nutshell, get basically the entire map opened up to your needs, and the ability to basically survive high rounds has been unlocked for you. You are good to go. Alright, guys. Now, from here on out, the only thing left to do for people who are just trying to survive high rounds, let me just check my recording here, see where we're at. 36 minutes, we're doing good. Alright, so basically the only thing left for us to do at this point now is to get the Wonder Weapon. To get the Wonder Weapon, it's actually very simple. Once you turn power on and you've built the Pack-a-Punch machine, the second you go outside, you will be faced with an enemy who is very dangerous. You are going to want to get a good, decent weapon, although you can defeat him with the knife. I do not recommend it. It is a little challenging. A good rule of thumb here is to get to this weapon right here. It is a Type 4 damage rare weapon. It's usually always either Type 4 or Type 5, which is one of the best damage rarities in the game. You're definitely going to want that. Once you've done that and you go outside, the enemy should spawn. If he doesn't spawn, you might have to end the round to get him to show up. But make sure at this point in the game, before you kill a zombie, you do have at least a decent weapon like this. Although snipers may not be everyone's forte, they are very powerful, and this one is a walleye that has a decent rarity on it, so it's a good weapon to start off with to help you kill this guy. So before we kill him, we're actually going to go ahead and go back over here, and we're actually going to go ahead and pick up Juggernaut. The reason why I'm picking up Juggernaut right now is because it's going to help us stay alive and also help us avoid taking too much damage, because this guy will have the potential to kick your ass real quick. I also grabbed Stamina, which helps you run faster, which is also another basically added ability that you are going to want to have while you're playing the game. Once you have these two perks, or at least Juggernaut as a bare minimum, we are ready to face the Radioactive Monster. Now this guy is basically an elite zombie. It's a mini boss. You will have to fight him every so often as you play the game, and he will spawn in right now at the beginning of the game. And actually, I lied. So this is actually another key element of the game. Sorry to confuse you guys, but so what's happening now, this is basically a dog round, or it varies in each game. It's not always a dog, but basically these are other type boss zombies that you can encounter in the game. They basically will show up like every 10 or 5 rounds, and they basically drop a max ammo each time you defeat the round that they spawn in. Usually it's round 5 or round 10, depends on the game, but basically, yeah, so they'll come every once in a while, not too difficult, but just take your time with them. A few of them will spawn, more will spawn if you're multiplayer, but that's not important. All you need to know is basically, that's how you deal with that. So there's the elite zombie that I was talking about earlier, and we are going to need to eliminate him. Before we get too carried away with him, we gotta make sure we control our zombies. Remember, this is the time when we need to start controlling our zombies, getting all of them kind of in the same location, so that it's much easier to control them and kill this guy. Now, as you just saw, my knife does still do damage past round 10. That is because I upgraded it. At this point, if you never upgraded your weapon, it should not be able to kill zombies past round 10. So don't use that as a basis for your game. It does not apply to you, it only applies to me in this particular scenario. Alright, now this guy's a little intimidating because he likes to run a little bit, but don't let that fool you. He will stop right before he gets to you and tries to attack you. Now the key thing you want to do with this guy is kind of just run a train around him. Don't let him intimidate you. He might be a little bit scary, but he really can't do too much to you. Just take your time, be patient. Now the sniper's a really good weapon for this guy because you can basically just launch a couple headshots at him every once in a while, and that should take him down. We're going to take him down right now with our next shot. Boom. So once you kill him the first time, he's then going to basically split into two more enemies. These are elite zombies. This is what you're going to basically have to fight now. Now these guys are a little bit different. They do a little bit more damage and they are a little bit more dangerous, but the same strategy still applies. Just run around, take your time, shoot them, here and there, just keep doing damage to them, and don't let them intimidate you. They are a little scary, but like I said, just stay calm and keep doing that circle. What you're going to do now is you're just going to basically try to get headshots on them as much as you can. That is what's going to do the most amount of damage. And shoot them. As you can see with a headshot, I was able to kill one of them, or I think I killed one of them. Not sure. Yes, I did. So the other one is now dead. I just got to kill this one, and now they will both be dead. And like I said, don't get distracted by these guys. You might need to kill them, but that doesn't mean you gotta let the other zombies just like totally fuck you up. 1 second, just gotta make sure my stuff's still recording. This is my first time doing the setup like this, so I apologize if I keep pausing the video. I just gotta make sure my stuff's still going. Still don't got a great setup going on, but I'm working on it, so apologize for that. Anyways, he's almost dead now. A couple more shots and he should be dead. Boom, there we go. Headshot to the head, and he is now gone. Now, if you guys are wondering, what does this have to do with upgrading or getting the Wonder Weapon? Well, I will get to that in a second. So that was basically just how you defeat the boss zombie on this map. Pretty straightforward. But now let's get to the real reason why we killed him, right? So in order to get the DIE Wonder Weapon in this game, now in some of these games and some of these maps, you will actually have to build the Wonder Weapon, although most of the time it's usually just in the box or it is given to you as a reward. This instance, however, it does have to be built, or you do have to do something to unlock access to it. Now, in order to get access to this weapon, what we're going to have to do is we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to have to actually kill one of those guys. And the reason why is because they will give us a certain item when you kill them. Now, one of the items that they kill you that you get when you kill them, I just gotta find where that is. Give me a second. It might have. Did it go away? That's interesting. I didn't go for it right away because normally it doesn't vanish, but I guess it does vanish. So we're gonna have to wait until we have another one of those guys actually spawn. I apologize for that, guys. But basically what would happen normally is when you kill them, they drop two key cards, right? One one will basically give you access for the Easter egg. The other key card you get, however, gives you access to the DIE machine or the Wonder Weapon. So in order for us to physically gain access to that, we are going to have to kill him again. So let's go ahead and try to get another one to spawn in. It won't be super easy, but bear with me, guys. We will get it done. But yeah, anyways, so all that aside, however, if as long as you're just taking your time and you just follow these steps, surviving should be somewhat pretty easy. You got a good weapon, you got your knife, you're doing good. pretty soon here we're going to actually have to replace the knife with a different weapon, because the knife will only do so much for you. But like I said, you're now at the point in the game where you survived all the rounds, you've opened up the map, you've got Pack-a-Punch or Power activated. Now is a good time to blow your money on the box or a wall weapon to try to get yourself situated in a game, right? This is a great opportunity to start implementing that. It doesn't apply to every map. Sometimes there's still more you can physically do without. I'm gonna try not to get this nuke. Good job. I barely avoided that. We're gonna try our absolute utmost best at not wasting points even after we get to this point. But like I said, yes, now is a good time to do all that stuff. So now that you have gotten to this point, here's another great little tip for Cold War. So say you're like me and you're using a gun, right? In older games, you'd either have to wait for a max ammo, or you'd have to go to the wall where you bought the weapon from and get your ammo back that way. But in this game, what they have is an ammo crate right here. You can see on the map, it looks like a bunch of bullets. You can actually, for $2.50, you can replace all the ammo in your weapon and you have ammo again. It's a really nice feature because it basically allows you to have infinite ammo, or not infinite ammo, but an unlimited supply or access to ammo, which normally you would not have access to. This is a really nice feature, and it definitely helps out a lot. So keep that in mind. So that's another fun little cool feature. Something you're going to definitely run into this game. The biggest obstacles is ammunition and making sure you have enough of it. So just always keep that in mind. But anyways, let's keep going here. We need to get another one of those guys spawned in. Although I'm not 100% sure. They do spawn in again, although I'm not quite sure what will cause him to spawn in a second time. We will have to wait and see. But as you can see, we're just running around in circles, still training, still doing our thing, not running too fast, but not running too slow. Another good tip is to always keep the most powerful weapon you have out in front of you when you're training. So if you do happen to get cornered or pinned, it's pretty much your guaranteed motive of escaping. Without that, you basically are screwed, right? You always want to make sure you have an escape, even if that means that the escape plan you have is in your hands. So be it. Better than not having anything at all. Now, another cool strategy about training in spawn. So there are many areas you can train in, but this area is the best for this exact reason. As you just saw, I planted a C4 earlier in the game in this location, and I just detonated it off. Even though I did not have it equipped, I have tomahawks equipped instead. If you throw down a C4 in the game, it will still be there until you detonate it. Meaning that even though, sorry, I'm looking for my tomahawks, and it's like, I may have just like throw them away. I don't know where they went. Oh, it's fine, I don't need them. But anyways, so as long as you throw equipment down like that, it will remain there the entire point of the game. You can go ahead and throw it in this little pond area here in the center of the map. And what that will basically allow you to do is it will allow you to train zombies around this area. And if you want to save ammo, get them as much of them concentrated in this part of the map as you can. And then you will basically, from that moment on, you will detonate your little grenade and be good. Now that there's no zombies, let's go ahead and go back here and see if I can get my hacks back. Right there. So yeah, there you go. Now you got my tomahawks back and we're good to go. Now if you guys notice, I'm not grabbing that right away. I'm waiting as much as I can because it was the end of the round. And in order for me to get any use out of this, I don't want to grab it too soon. Otherwise, it will expire before I have a chance to use it to its full potential. Since my knife still has potency and it still does a lot of damage, I will be using it at the current moment just to make sure I get the most amount of points I can. Now that it's gone, I'm going back to sniping. So he still hasn't spawned in yet, so hopefully here pretty soon he will spawn in. But hopefully by watching me, guys, you're getting kind of a good idea of how you guys can do this. Obviously, I'm moving pretty fast-paced right now, but the concept does not change. Although it may not seem like it's something that a beginner can do, this really is not too difficult. I am very relaxed, I'm sitting back, I'm not stressing about anything at all. I'm just going in circles and shooting them every once in a while, but not getting so distracted by shooting that I let myself go down. Another good strategy for Cold War is if you have equipment and you have a lot of equipment in your, just, you know, like a lot of like explosive or just equipment in general in your actual like equipment section, like where you have grenade stuff, don't throw them all. For example, if I throw all but one of these tomahawks and I don't throw the last one because it's already in my equipment, all I'll have to do is go back over the ones I've thrown and I'll automatically pick them back up, not needing to pick them up again remotely. If I throw them all, it will not pick them up if I walk over them. I will have to manually hold X, and that may or may not be possible with a huge train of zombies directly behind you. So just keep that in mind, guys, going forward. Another little tip for Cold War that you may or may not know that will help you not basically help keep you from doing unnecessary actions that may jeopardize your game. As you can see, 5 rounds later, we are back at another dog round where we'll get another max ammo. Now this is repetitive, this will happen throughout the game, so this is another reason why you don't need to worry about max ammos too much, because one way or another they will come come for you. You will get them in the game one way or another. Don't think that you won't get them. You will get them. Do not worry. Also, I probably shouldn't have refilled because there was a max ammo coming, and I did not realize that. Okay, so now we made it to round 15. Pretty easy, right? Not too bad. So as you'll notice, or you may have noticed already, there's a radio. Now in this Cold War version of zombies, and especially in Dimashita and a few other maps, there is an option to actually escape via helicopter. Although it is not that easy, and although I will make a video directly on how to do that in a much later time, just know that that is something else you can do in the game, and I will, like I said, explain it better a little bit later. Okay, so now we have him spawn back in again, although it's not an ideal round to try to get the Pack-a-Punch, the Wonder Weapon, because preferably the lower the round the better. We can still do it. It will be a little challenging, but I'm up for the challenge. So just pretend we're on round 8 again, and the guy just spawned in. We're going to go ahead and kill him again. Before we actually kill him, we're actually going to go ahead and get rid of most of the zombies. That way, when he does die, we can go ahead and pick up his stuff, and we won't be like surrounded by a huge mob of zombies. we'll be able to pick his stuff up with relative ease and not have to worry about getting swarmed. But we don't want to kill them all. We just want to kill a good majority of them. Right now we're just trying to get the number down a little bit so it's so hard to keep them alive. Just like that, using the strategy I just talked about, we went ahead and just thinned the herd by a lot. And we should almost be ready to take them on. Just give me a minute. Now I do have an ability on me called Ring of Fire that will help me kill him, but I am purposely saving that because I do not want to I do not want to use it unless I absolutely have to. It basically doubles the efficiency of my weapons and makes them even more powerful, but it could also result in my zombies being killed. But since we do actually have a crawler over there, I'm going to go ahead and kill these guys and I'm going to go ahead and kill these guys and not grab that nuke because I'm not going to end this round and move on. Alright, enough of that chaos. So now that we have crawlers and there's no full-grown zombies left, now we can kill this guy in peace. So let's go ahead and activate a Ring of Fire and one-shot him just like that. The Ring of Fire is a little bit advanced, so if you guys are wondering why I have that, like I said, it's a little bit advanced, don't worry about it. So now we're going to go ahead and take out these guys. He's almost dead, got a little more damage left before I can take him out, and there it goes. So as you can see guys, he just dropped that golden card I was talking about. Let's go ahead and pick all that up so that it can apply to what we're doing. So we picked up, that was the DIE mechanism. So as you guys can see in the component section, we now have that microchip we just picked up. We are now ready to begin getting this wonder weapon. So now that we have this ability with immediately leave this guy, he'll just respawn in as a full-grown zombie. We don't need to really worry about him. Let's go ahead and leave him for now, and let's go get our DE. So first thing you want to do is you want to go down to the power room itself. Just checking on my video here. Okay, we're doing pretty good. Go down to the power room itself. Okay, go ahead head this way towards this nuke in here. Go to this machine. Insert your key card, and then boom, you'll get the remote control. Once you have the remote control, then what you're going to do now is go ahead and go all the way back up to spawn. We're going to go into the building right next to spawn, and we're going to kill a bunch of zombies in this one area. So this is the part that might be a little tricky due to the fact that we're on a high round. But basically, what you're going to want to do is just gain entry to this door, and then you can see right here we're going to have the option to turn on the DIE. But we're not going to want to do it until we have a good big horde of zombies going through. So before we do that, guys, we're going to want to make sure that we get a full train of zombies going before we do that. So at this point in the game, guys, all you're going to do now is just run trains by that zombie and by that area once we've activated the machine. And once you've gotten enough kills near the machine, basically a door will open and the weapon will be there for us to use. And the reason why I'm kind of trying to wrap this up is because unfortunately my video is about to end. I'm almost at the hour-long limit, and I won't be able to record any more of this video for you guys. So we're going to try and get this knocked out as soon as I can, although unfortunately I may not be able to. So as you can see, guys, this video is actually reaching an end. So unfortunately I won't be able to show you guys the full upgraded version. So go ahead and watch part 2 of this video so you guys can see this last bit here where I actually get the Wonder Weapon, and the rest of this video will be posted on a different part of this channel. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you so much. Have a great day.